power plant in Iran. Now, last summer, Israel went into Syria. They bombed Syria's plant, the nuclear plant that they found there. The North Koreans were helping Syria build this power plant. They went in there and bombed it. Syria hates Israel. Syria does not want peace with Israel, even though right now they're talking peace. But the hidden agenda is just to get close enough to the border of Israel so that when the attack comes, they will be able to hit Israel. Israel won't be able to respond fast enough, and this way they'll be able to take them out a lot easier. That's not going to happen, because the other prophecy that hasn't been fulfilled yet is found in Isaiah chapter 17, verse 1, where it says the prophet showed us that Damascus was going to be destroyed and left in ruin and heaps. And soon, Syria is going to think that they're going to be able to take Israel out if the peace agreement, that they don't get what they want. They want the northern part of the area that was taken from them in the earlier wars. They want Israel to give it back. And if they don't, I'll show you the documents where it says we will take it back one way or the other. So their agenda is to wipe Israel out, to take their land back, and to take back Jerusalem. So that prophecy has to be fulfilled, and I'm telling the people, you better watch Syria, what they're doing. So all these things are lining up. So Israel they said they were going to do it. Now, Russia stated just a few days ago that Iran's nuclear power plant will start up sometime in the autumn, which just happens to coincide with the Feast of Trumpets. Now, if this goes down this way, like they're warning to go down, and Israel goes in and bombs that nuclear facility around the time of the Feast of Trumpets, this may be the time that the Lord would remove the church, because when that happens, then they would say a peace agreement can be signed with Israel that would protect them, and the guy who does it would say, go ahead and build your temple. And the reason why is because we know that in Ezekiel's prophecy that you have all the massive nations coming down. Altogether there's about 15 or 16 nations that are specifically mentioned that are all coming from the north that will be destroyed in the mountains even before they get to Israel. But we know that this is how close it is. And so when they go in to take them out, there might be the possibility that the church will be removed before that takes place, because when he signs the document, the church has to be out of the way. Otherwise, it says that the man of sin must be taken, or that which hinders will be taken out of the way, and then the Antichrist will be revealed as the man of sin. So this is how close we are. And so when you look at the blood moon now, this is why I was talking about the blood moon. If they sign this document in 2008, and if we propelled into the 7-year tribulation, at the end of 2015, which is 7 years, the blood moon's out, Jesus Christ will come back just like Joel said, and fulfill the rest of the prophecies. So are all these things taking place? Man, you better believe it. And disease. I keep telling the people, watch what happens with the diseases, because they are coming. I told people a few days before the Japan earthquake and before what was going to happen in China. You read my post, I warned people that the Lord has, impressed upon my heart to watch the ring of fire. It hasn't been active lately. You're going to have major earthquakes that are going to take place. They've all happened. The warning about the wheat, the warning about loss of crops. I said the floods were coming. I told them the heat was coming. I mean, it's almost like now, Gina, I'm almost hesitant to say anything out of my mouth, because it looks like every time I open my mouth, I turn around and boom. I don't like people to suffer, but it's out of my control. What was written is going to take place, and God's word never fails. And in the scriptures, it is the only person who ever prophesied that 100% of everything is taking place. For example...
Well, Frank, before we go on, we have about 10 more minutes, and I'd really like you to cover the cashless society, too.
Oh, okay, great, thank you. In my book, I outline, and this is in chapter 1, And what I did is I showed the people that how, from the earlier stages, that we have gone from, using money, and how Revelation 13, chapter 13, 16, and 18, it talks about this Antichrist coming. He'll have the power to rule the world. He will tell everybody to receive a mark in the right hand or in the forehead. So in the earlier stages of, for example, in the 1980s, we started to go into what they call electronic funds transfer, where electronically banks were beginning to hook up, and people would be able to just take the money out of their accounts using credit cards and debit cards and all this other stuff. Well, since that time, what has happened is because of the increased knowledge that Daniel talked about, we've gone virtually almost now to a cashless society using electronics to just take your money out of the accounts without anybody touching it. And so I show you in the book from how we went from cash, how we went to credit cards, how we went to different apparatuses to go get us to where we are today. Get rid of the checkbooks, pay online. All this stuff is part of how we're going to a cashless society. And in the book, I also discuss a scenario that it's a fictitious scenario, but it's uncanny because he talks about how America would go down, and he talks about the housing crisis. He talks about his scenario is actually happening right now. And when I tell the people that America has to go down, there's a reason for it. Our economy is going to tank out. And when it tanks out, when it gets so bad, they're going to have something in the works that will be able to control people. And so one of the ways that they could do this, and the technology that's out right now, is called the Vera chip. And they have other chips as well. But this is particularly interesting because this Vera chip can be placed, and it is being placed in the hand. And the reason why they could put it in the hand is that it has lithium batteries, and there's two places that it really generates the power for this. And one of them is in your hand, the other one's in your forehead. Ironically, that's exactly what Jesus Christ said, that they will be placing it in your right hand or in your forehead. Right now in Europe, they have these chips in nightclubs. It's a rad thing going on for the kids. They're putting these chips in, and when they go into these nightclubs, they swipe their hand on the machine. Their picture shows up on the board, and anything that they buy or anything that they purchase, drinks or whatever it might be, is automatically deducted from their account. Now, this isn't science fiction. This is here now. They're doing it right now. In the book, I show you how governments are already setting this up. For example, Mexico, they just had 160 Mexican officials all get chipped. And wherever they go now, somebody can monitor them. And it's all under the guise of safety regulations, under the guise of health issues and terrorism. The people from Verchip, Scott Silverman, who's the CEO of the company, came out. He was invited to go, I think it was in Europe. And in that conversation in Europe, he told everybody his agenda, and he said, we want to chip every person in this world under the guidelines of security, because the terrorism is so bad that eventually what will happen is they will force this issue. Now, we see parts of this coming place because under President Bush, he pushed this new law stating that what will happen is nobody can travel, nobody can get on a plane, nobody can get on a train, nobody can get on a government building. You will not be able to collect any money unless you have, I'm looking at my notes here. Obviously, you get so flooded with all this information, even for me, it's hard to comprehend. But it's called the Real ID Act, and it's already implemented, and it got slowed up a little bit because of all the details that you have to do with the computers throughout the DMVs. And